Hey y'all, it's Becky here from the Beckisphere with my little boy Rue. Hi Rue. He's like, what's going on? This is my little Halloween cat. Mwah. You know. And if you saw, he has a cast on him, and I explained in an earlier video what happened, but for a little short thing. He fell from the loft and tore 2 ligaments in his back right foot. On this channel, we talk about stuff having to do with the climate crisis, the problems, yes, but the solutions, yes. So if that sounds like something you would be interested in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, click the like, comment below on what other things you want to see having to do with the climate crisis or having to do with journalism. I don't know why I did that. It's Halloween time, you know? So today I want to talk a little bit about what it was like for me getting my journalism degree during a period of time when journalism has started to lose its trust from society. So, a little background about me. I graduated from college in 2019. So I'm very recent entering into the workforce. Now I work as a science writer at a university communications office, but my background is in journalism and environmental science. I got degrees in both. And I remember one time, sophomore year of college, I go into my introductory journalism course, and I see on the screen this big collection of news media sources, and they were all saying the exact same line.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
It was really surreal to see that. And I know that my professors thought so too. They were seasoned journalists, and I remember them looking at the screen too, and they honestly looked kind of scared, because we knew from that point that there was clearly a big change in how society looked at our field. We were no longer seen as a public service. We weren't seen as people who valiantly went and got the news and the facts for the people and were kind of like the Robin Hoods of news. Instead, we were more demonized. We were seen as propagandists, people that were making biased reporting and were only in it for their self-interest. And that's a very different perspective on what the career looks like. It stumped a lot of my peers and I. If people knew how much effort journalism schools, or at least good journalism schools, every journalism school should, put into instilling efficacy and fact-checking and source finding into their students, it is a ton. For example, some of the courses that I took during the period of time of getting my major of journalism, I took communication law, I took media ethics, I took grammar. I took so many classes on how to do this stuff right and ethically, and how to get the story right. And the professors that taught us were really strict on making sure that our facts were sound, that we had triple checked our facts. We had at least 3 sources per story, that we had answered all the questions, the who, what, when, where, why, how, what if questions. We had to go through all these steps. And I thought for the journalism school that the University of Oregon Journalism School did a fabulous job at teaching students like me how to create a story that was as unbiased as possible, that was delivering the news to the general public in a way that they could trust that the story was legitimate. But unfortunately, as much as you try in the industry to be as ethical and unbiased as you can, when there's a veil of fake news and the dirty media, then it's almost impossible. And while I totally respect people that engage their critical thinking skills and make sure that the information that they're getting is correct, oftentimes I feel like journalists are often put into a category altogether, regardless of whether or not they are ethical journalists or bad actors. They're all put in the same category of fake news nowadays. And that can be really damaging to the journalism world, because it really is a societal need. You need your information for you to understand what's going on in your area for that day. You need people that are going out and making sure that politicians and institutions are actually accountable and transparent. And without the news, without journalism, that's not possible. There are many stories of what are called news deserts, which are they're places in the country in which there is no local news coverage. And as a result, it's kind of like people are just walking around blind. They have nothing to reference to and no source in which they can get trusted information from. And that's kind of the point that we're at right now. In addition to that, we've seen increased violence in journalists too. I've had friends that are covering the protests and have actually had to wear helmets and goggles and all this with their press passes, because they know that the press passes themselves are not going to protect them, because now we're not considered of public interest, we're considered to be the enemy. We need some way to fund news in a way that the public can trust that the news isn't just going to be biased towards a certain side, but also ensuring that the revenue is consistent and that it's enough for journalists to be able to make a living and tell the stories that need to be told in a decent time period. We also need to work on deciding whether or not we're going to break the news as fast as we can, or wait until we have all the details and all the facts so we can make sure that we are giving a good story. I don't think journalism should be a field that we are pressured into breaking news as fast as possible and competing with each other for that breaking news, because that has resulted in a lot of mess ups. And that's another thing, is that I think it takes both sides. It takes both the public building up trust again in the journalism world and understanding the importance of news organizations in their society, and supporting those news organizations financially. And it also takes news journalism organizations figuring out what is needed to keep themselves ethical, keep themselves where they need to be news-wise, keep themselves connected to the local community. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't. A lot of experts are trying to figure it out right now, but I don't know what the solution necessarily is, because it's a complicated situation. So anyways, I just kind of wanted to ramble a bit and talk about my thoughts about the industry, especially since, you know, I'm continuing to see on news headlines the current administration and other people really bashing the field of journalism. And I understand why people do that. I understand why there is that mistrust. I really do. But I hope that I can be a voice for the journalism world to kind of humanize us and help people realize that we are humans too, and we will make mistakes as humans do. But in order for us to do what is right for our community and for the people that trust us to give the news to them. We need to have the time, the financial support, and the emotional support of our community to be able to provide the correct information. I hope all that made sense. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Again, I will include links to a bunch of sources I found helpful. I was going to make this more of a analytical video with a lot of sources like I've done with a lot of my other content, but I kind of just wanted to show that I'm a human and a journalist and it's possible to be both, and that it's an interesting time to be in this industry and to be alive. And I will continue talking about this topic. I think I'm going to go more into depth on particular points that I brought up this time, but I just wanted to leave this more freestyle for my thought process to get through. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me. On Monday, I'm going to release a video that is talking about the difference between Biden's climate plan and the Green New Deal. So if that interests you, then make sure you look out for that. It'll be posted on Monday. And without further ado, have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you later. Remember to talk about the climate every day and support your local news. Okay.